I love Garfield. But that's nothing special. We all love the funny fat cat. What if, however, you could become Garfield? Released in 2004 for the PlayStation 2 and PC, this gaming hidden gem masterpiece was made by the Code Monkeys, whose previous works include Shrek's Treasure Hunt and Goofy's Funhouse for the PS1. So I actually had all three of these games as a kid, but only after doing research for this video have I realized that they're made by the same developer. And it makes so much sense, especially seeing how similar Goofy's Funhouse and Garfield are. Like, the developers basically created a whole new genre of games. The iconic characters cleaning up their shit genre. But that genre seriously needs to come back. PowerWash Simulator did kind of start doing that again with the recent DLC, like the SpongeBob DLC, but I need more. Imagine a Mario spin-off game where you just clean Peach's castle. Anyway, as much as it pains me to say this, at release, this misunderstood masterpiece of a Garf game received actually insanely poor ratings, and due to this, it's considered to be one of the worst Garfield games of all time. But I'm here to say nay. Nay, I say. This game walked, crawled even, through blood and bone so that PowerWash Simulator could run. But actually, most people haven't even heard of this game. Like, I haven't met a single person who knows about this game. And I can hear you saying like, Loop, if it's such a good game, well, what's it all about? What's the story? Tell us. Okay, I'll tell ya. So Garfield ate John's lasagna. Classic Garfield. And John's getting real sick and tired of Garfield's bullshit, so he threatens Garfield with a diet if the house isn't in perfect condition by the time John gets back. But Garfield isn't worried about it. I mean, he's just gonna chill at the TV. He's, done with all of his goofs and gaffs and shenanigans. So he's just gonna be sitting at the TV watching the old boob tube. But before Garfield knows it, he's asleep. But hold on, what's that noise? What's that ruckus? Oh no! Odie absolutely tore the place apart. Like, he completely ruined the house. Like, he tore the house a new asshole. Like, it's actually insane how much damage this damn dog did to the house while Garfield was fast asleep. But now Garfield has to clean up Odie's mess before John arrives, otherwise it's the old diet punishment, the iconic classic cat punishment that I, threaten my cats with all of the time. So yeah, that's the setup for the game, and honestly it really is kind of bizarre and weird. Like, because of how the story is set up, the entire game is set on a timer, and that's really like ominous and foreboding. And whenever you press select, it just like shows up in the corner like, you have 6 hours until John comes home. And it's very, very stressful for no reason. So you have 8 hours to beat the game, which sounds way more intense than it actually is. Like, it took me 3 hours to beat the game without any help, which thank God, because there's like no guides or walkthroughs online. There's like maybe one GameFAQ guide from 2008 and that's it. Like, no one's talking about this game. Except for me, of course. I'm here talking about Garfield, hello. But yeah, going back to the timer, it really makes no sense why it's in the game. Because the entire appeal of the game is just, going around casually exploring the 3D Garfield's house and just putting things back. But like, every time you just press select, it's like, BAM! You have 2 hours, better clean everything. Basically how the game works is you have 3 inventory slots in your vacuum, and then you just vacuum things up, go to another place, and then put that item where it belongs. And once you fully put back everything in a single room, you get a key that unlocks another room, and then you just clear room after room after room until you find the 4 missing ingredients for lasagna, so John can make another lasagna when he gets back. Like, are you telling me Odie went into a room, like completely trashed it, picked some things out to put it in another room, then brought some things back into the room, locked it with his opposable dog thumbs, and then magically made the key disappear just so Garfield could have a horrible time? Hello, Garfield. And that's pretty much the entire game loop. You just go around putting things back where they belong. There's like a few mini games here and there to shake things up, but they're the lamest part. It's just filler. And I seriously can't stress enough how satisfying it really is to just go around John Arbuckle's iconic house and just clean shit up. Like, it feels so modern in that regard, considering how casual games and cleanup games are only now starting to become like really popular and mainstream. I say it once and I'll say it again. Garfield walked so Power Simulator could run. Also, I briefly mentioned this, but I think this might be like the only instance where you can just explore the Garfield house in full 3D. Like, it's a full 2-story house, and I just gotta say, John is living the dream, baby. Like, he has a living room, a gorgeous kitchen with a kitchen island, a den where he draws his iconic little funny haha comics, a Jamaican inspired small bedroom, and a giant ass big boy bedroom, you know, where he doesn't bring the ladies. And also a fucking game room. Like, it's so cool. Like, my guy John is getting that comic artist bag. Now, on to the bad parts of the game. Yes, unfortunately this game has quite a few flaws. First of all, the graphics, oh my god, they are so bad. Like, everything is just empty. Like, it's so devoid of like details. It's just like pure unfiltered polygons. And this game came out the same year the fucking Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater came out, and it's just mind-boggling. It boggles the mind. And also, this like background game footage you're seeing, that's with like upscaled textures to 4K. Like, that is not how the game looks by itself. But honestly, I was never a big graphics guy, so this doesn't bother me one bit. Like, I still enjoy the look of the game. It's just, you know, smooth Garfield on his smooth adventure. Just whatever you do, don't compare to the other games that came out in the same year. Or even before. Or after. The other flaws, however, do bother me. A lot. The controls. Oh my god, the controls. When I play games, I like to do what I call the 180 test. It's basically like how responsive your character is when you just hold back left stick, or, you know, like just hold back the movement. For example, FromSoft games do this like really well. It's like instantaneous. Like, you just hold back and boop, the guy's around. And then you have the opposite side of the spectrum. Games like Red Dead Redemption 2 take what feels like an eternity for your little fella, for your little cowboy fella to turn around. It drives me nuts, like in general in games, I don't like that, but at least in Red Dead Redemption 2 it makes sense because it's like a more cowboy simulator, it's immersive, you know, he's gonna strut around. And that's why they opted for like a more realistic turning animation. Why then is Garfield from the hit 2004 PS2 game the slowest one to turn? He feels like a fucking car doing a U-turn, and like this game has platforming. So sometimes you're just standing on a Garfield-sized platform and you just want to turn around, and then he hits you with his U-turn bullshit and you fall off. And it happens so often. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. Speaking of things I hate, that fucking dog. That little nightmarish hellspawn, that little affront to God, can go die and burn in hell. Seriously though, I hate Odie. And this is what I mean when I say you really become Garfield through this game. I now fully understand how Garfield feels and why he hates that damn mutt. Like, every single time you're in Odie's vicinity, he just guns for you and stuns you over and over and over and over and over and over until you finally kick his ass, literally, and then you can finally rest for a second, and then he just guns for you and stuns you over and over and over and over and over. It never stops. And you don't have health or anything, so you can't die. The only purpose Odie's attacking serves is to just piss you off and to shave off seconds from the doom clock. Speaking of the doom clock, I still really dislike the whole timer thing. I wish there was no timer or anything. Like, John could have just been like, that's it, you're cleaning up and I ain't helping you this time. Or feeding you until you're done. And he could just be waiting outside in the yard for you to finish. And that way they could have made like a minigame with John or something. I feel like the only reason they put the timer is because they felt pressured to have like a game over state. But like, it would have been just so nice to just vibe out and clean. All of these flaws come to a point during this one minigame in the attic, and oh my god, that minigame. Your invisible friend wants you to put back all the wind-up toys back to the cabinets where they belong. So there's like 3 sets of wind-up toys. 3 cars, 3 robots, and 3 monster wind-ups. So what you have to do is vacuum up a toy, carry it to the cabinet, and drop it in the cabinet. Sounds simple enough. Well, it ain't. Until you put away a whole set of wind-up toys, they can just freely leave their cabinet. So by the time you get the 3rd toy, the first 2 are already like out and about, so you gotta corral them back somehow. But the problem is that the controls are shit. And every time you bump into anything, you drop the toy and it zips away. And there's a ton of fucking stupid crates and other wind-up toys blocking you. Oh yeah, you also have only 3 minutes to do it all. Oh yeah, Odie is here too. Oh yeah, there are spiders here too and they act the same way as Odie. So basically, there's like 3 Odies making you miserable and angry and sad. Have you ever gotten so frustrated playing a game that it felt like ants were crawling all over your body? That's how I felt, like I wanted to jump out of my skin. And I was at the point where I just wanted to throw my controller, but I knew I couldn't afford to throw and break a controller, so I just had to held in that anger, and it just made me even more angry and more just insane, honestly. I was a broken shell of a man. And then suddenly, I did it. I beat the minigame. I didn't do anything different, it was just RNG. I stopped playing for the day after that minigame. But honestly, even after all that, I still had a great time playing that game. It's just something about that style of game. It's just so enjoyable to run around and clean John's house. I don't know, I'm just a subservient cat at heart, I guess. And I really can't blame the devs for some parts of the game, because you can tell they had a shoestring budget. Like when you beat the game and John comes home, you're eating lasagna together and he's praising you for doing such a good job, but like he's still frowning and he looks super angry because they just made the one Angry John model for like the intro cutscene and they just reused that model in the outro, so he looks just like very diabolical and evil. Also, I say every cutscene like there's like a ton of them, but there's only 3. One at the beginning, one if you lose, and one if you win. In the end, I'm honestly just really impressed that despite all the jank, there's genuine fun to be had in this goofy ass licensed PS2 game. Like there is, at its core, it's a really interesting and unique gameplay idea. And that was Garfield for the PS2. Thanks to this game, I was able to walk like Garfield, talk like Garfield, clean like Garfield, and even kick Odie like Garfield. And now the only thing that's left for me to do is to eat like Garfield. I am become Garfield.